It was a stormy night. You know the
at this moment. Um, so yeah, I guess before we move forward, let's do an overview over what was necessarily discussed last Sunday. So Vontae, you believe. So Vontae, you believe that wrongful actions is more so based upon intentions, correct?
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe there's something genetically coded in us already that tells us right from wrong. There's no written law or anything else. Just like a baby comes out of the womb and goes straight to the nipple. I ain't gotta tell it to go to the nipple. It's already, you know what I'm saying, coded. I feel like the same thing with good and evil. We already have it in us. It's just your intention, like you said.
And Daniel,
Like, what's my belief, I guess, on good and evil?
do you believe, pretty simple and plain, do you believe it is very simple to gauge between right and wrong?
80% of the time, yes. And I think that 20% of the time, it's a lot more gray than meets the eye. That's like the simplest way.
Okay. So let's like attack this at one by one. Okay. So Vontae, you believe that it's more so based upon your intentions on whether what you're doing is wrong. Okay. Turn my phone vibrate. All right. So before I go any further, do you at all see any flaw in what you're saying?
What you mean?
Like, do you see that where maybe that could be a slippery slope in some cases, or do you see, or did you think all the way through that maybe possibly that if we did things based upon intentions, that it's if we done things based upon intentions, do you see it as like that could be a that's a problem, like that's an issue? Have you at least thought that it maybe could be an issue?
Basing it off of intentions? No. Because like I said, I feel like there's something already naturally in you that tells you the right way. You pick your intention. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy I looked at did a study on babies. And they did a puppet show with 3 puppets. It was 3 dogs. Mm-hmm. One dog will play with a ball, toss it to the other one, and it'll toss it back. And they'll close the curtain. And then they'll pick the curtain up, and that dog will play with it and toss it to the third dog, and it'll take off and run. Which to grown-ups is an a-hole move. You took my ball. But babies don't know that.
But that's learned.
70% of the babies, when they represented the puppies and asked them to pick one, picked 2 of the good puppies. Only 30% picked the a-hole puppy.
Isn't that?
To me, that shows naturally there's something in most of us that says pick the good. Do the good thing. You can intentionally do the wrong thing, but 30% of the time, it's there. You know what I'm saying? Just like 30% of those babies pick the wrong or the bad or the evil puppy. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that is more so based upon learned behavior? Mm-hmm. Because
they were too small. These weren't toddlers who were walking around grabbing something.
So they don't have logic and reasoning.
These babies were, you have to hold them up and sit them there. So, you know what I'm saying? They reaching and just grabbing. They have no idea.
So, let's flesh it out. Like, okay, if we done things based upon intentions, let's give like a couple. Let's give like a couple of rundown scenarios.
Let's use the Boosie and D-Wade scenario.
Okay, so I have a couple other scenarios. Like, there's a lot of times, where people, like I said, I'll use this as an example. As a journalist, I may have the best intentions to inform and document a certain story, right? But I always taught that your intentions don't necessarily matter on how you're necessarily going about it, because at the end of the day, it's always about the result. You see what I'm saying? If the result is what you were spewing, and the effect of it that came out,
Okay.
was flawed and inaccurate, or
just controversial.
not even just controversial. I mean, there's a lot of things that are controversial that are beneficial. But if what I'm saying has a negative connotation to it, and it's affecting lives because of my inaccuracy or anything of that nature that, swarms around journalism, then at the end of the day, my intentions don't mean anything. Because at the end of the day, I can sit up here and explain, like, that's not my mind frame of what y'all are basically attacking what I'm saying. Like, because at the end of the day, my foresight of what I was going about, whatever the story may be, my intentions don't necessarily matter at the end of the day. All that matters is how the community or the congregation necessarily took it,
Okay.
how it affects people, how it may because at the end of the day, like, if I'm a journalist, my job is to inform and enlighten and give accurate details on certain on things, not to lead people astray, not to give false equivalents on things that are not true, And if I'm doing that, but I'm thinking that what I'm saying is right, then it don't matter, because at the end of the day, the executive producer did not hire me based upon my intention. They're hiring me based on the results that I can give, and if my results are harmful, then for one, I'm not doing my job, and two, I become a liability. And I think that can go across the board for anything. If we did things based upon how we internalize it, instead of thinking about, well, shit, how are they gonna internalize it? How is the world gonna internalize it? Instead of thinking that, oh shit, I had the best intentions of the world, so
yeah.
Oh well. But if your approach and your strategy is flawed, then quite frankly, I think that people need to necessarily do more of a critique on how they go about whatever the scenario is. If I stole something from you, how would that make you feel?
What did you steal? It's the situation.
literally-
What did you steal? $1 bill off my table?
You can ask a few people. For me, like literally, I can say this for me. I told Chad, if somebody stole something from me and out of my room, they probably can have it. They probably need it more than me. That's just the way I operate. Open door policy.
No, okay, so you telling me that
initially I would feel some type of way.
Okay,
that's what you're saying.
Okay,
if I found out you just stole from me, I would feel some type of way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, let's say you stole my shoes.
Yeah, I would feel some type of way.
I would.
Okay, thank you for being honest. So if that, so basically that instinct that of what my action of me stealing from you made you feel, you telling me that is an actual positive reaction that if I made you feel some type of way because I stole from you, and now you feel, and now you feeling and now this can probably open up the now this open up the doubts, the possibilities that I can't trust this person.
So look, let me tell you like this, and this is why it's situational. If you were to steal my shoes and I seen you come here every Sunday in shoes, I feel some type of way. But if I was to see you show up at my house every Sunday to do this podcast and had no shoes, and I found out my shoes was gone and I seen you walk in with them, I would say nothing to you. I swear. And that's situational. That to me would justify or make whatever evil feeling you saying I got wash right out of the window. I could not feel that way. Me personally, knowing you don't have shoes and that you took some of mine, it's a whole different situation at that point. And that's why it's situational. Like I told you, if you stole my shoes now, Chris, I'd have seen you in some shoes. I know you got shoes.
So you telling me you wouldn't at least ask that person? You telling me that you wouldn't even bother even bringing it up?
I wouldn't even bring it up. I would say absolutely nothing, Chris. Yep. I would say nothing.
And I've literally been in this scenario. I was about to say,
I would say nothing, yo.
I wouldn't say anything.
I've had people in college that kind of like stuck around the dorms and stuff, and could tell was just sticking around for the resources.
Yeah. Stuff
go, certain food go, I say nothing because I understand the situation. Mm-hmm. But if one of them is who living with me taking my food, it's a problem because I know
you making way more money than
I know you eating regular. Yeah. He come around because I know, you know what I'm saying? So it's situational to me. That's why I said your intention. And in that situation, if you got shoes, your intention ain't to just cover your feet and stop getting blisters. Your intention was just to take from me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So intentions to me matter. That matters.
Nah.
Matters.
Because the average person is gonna think like how what you did to me was wrong. They're not gonna gauge on they're not gonna gauge on your circumstances. They're not gonna think about your circumstances. They're gonna think about what you done to them and how that made them feel. So the actual action, like that's a whole we talk about a whole nother process. Oh, dang, they stole from me. Like what's going on in their life that they had to steal from me? No one's logically even thinking like that. In my opinion, I'm thinking because my first instinct is going to be based upon how what they did to me made me feel. That's just the same way with, because I know we brought up another scenario of murder, and we said murder is and y'all said murder. Well, I think we all said murder is a gray area, but to be honest, the core of that action is wrong. The core of the action is wrong. Like we can play out the same scenario. If I killed someone that you were close to, how does that make you feel?
Well, did they shoot you in your shoulder first? I promise. So look, if my brother was to just hunt you down for no reason, I find out the story comes out and he's hunting you down, and you turn around and blow his head off, I will mourn my brother, but I would not demonize you for shooting somebody who's coming to kill you. Like that, the situation it matters. Your intention matters. Your intention wasn't just hunt my brother out and kill him. Your intention was to protect yourself. I cannot fault you for that.
I'm talking about a pure blood here.
Oh, I would be angry. I would be angry that my brother is gone, but I would not be angry at
all
you
I'm
for
asking
doing
you
it
is
for that reason.
all I'm asking is for people to take into consideration how what your actions may affect someone else. I think I'm just gonna say that strategy into necessarily gauging between right and wrong is probably the closest I think we'll ever get to understanding between what's right and what's wrong. Because and I think it's the closest. It may not be the perfect choice or the perfect strategy, but I think it's the closest you'll ever get to understanding, because because with that because with that strategy you're understanding not necessarily how you internalize certain things, but you're understanding how your actions may have an effect on the people that you are spewing words or you are exerting your energy towards. You see what I'm saying? Because if we always go through life not processing how someone else may take it, then we're not practicing great communication. We're not practicing great execution on how we go about just being a great example in some cases. Because if we just like sit back and just do things just straight off of an impulse because it was done to us, so we just passing it down, then that's just generational baggage.
Yeah, okay. So
look though. So I feel like if you look at it like that, right? Like this is good, this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You get exactly what our justice system gives us.
Mm-hmm.
You get the pinpoint. So they say selling drugs is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
But who has no resources and no money in America and needs to sell drugs to survive? One certain type of people. So if they just labeled that bad and not selling drugs good, what are the intentions?
See,
So now listen. If I'm selling drugs,
mm-hmm.
my intention is to survive. If I'm telling the people who selling drugs that they just bad and I'm not.
Wait a minute though. Wait a minute.
What are the intentions in there? What are their intentions?
But see, wait a minute though. See, you just opened up a can of worms. That to me, that will be you. See, you thinking about in that case your way into surviving, or in a way to necessarily survive in a world or in a community.
Making ends meet.
Just like if a homeless man steals something, he's still stealing.
Okay, and this also can bring up the conversation of selfishness in my sense, because you know what you're doing is wrong, but you're doing it as in a way to survive. So basically, in a way, in the way I see it, let's just look at it like this. Y'all two are a community that looks just like me, right?
Okay.
And we are all supposed to be working together to help uplift and make our community prosper and grow and things of that nature, right? Okay. Now, granted, I have my back against the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making ends meet, and I need to do something to necessarily get me and my family to a place where we can at least live somewhat comfortable. Mm-hmm. So I felt the need to necessarily take care of my family by selling drugs to a community that is necessarily supposed to be uplifting me. Now, granted, I want you to look at it like this. Yes, in that instance, you are taking care of you were thinking about taking care of your family. But in instance, are you really taking care of your family? Because technically your community is your family as well. So technically, in an instance, you're looking out for yourself. Technically, in an instance, you are really looking out for yourself.
So I'm glad you said selfish, because there's a chemical that we release and I forget the name of it, but it goes hand in hand with testosterone, which makes you selfish, and the other one makes you selfless. They both rise in situations like you're saying. They both rise. And the example that the guy gave, his study was with a group of guys who play soccer, but he picked people who did not know each other, brought them to the soccer field, and he took blood samples of these two chemicals, and he let them warm up. When they warmed up, talked, and got to know each other, these two chemicals rose together. When they played, he took another blood sample, they were still high. The testosterone makes you selfish, and the other one makes you selfless. So me kicking the ball to an open teammate and getting the assist, that's that chemical kicking in. But guess what? I still have just as much selfishness in me, but I'm going to just choose to use it when I get ready. I'll take you one-on-one when I get ready and get my bucket. But I'm not, my intention is...
I'm gonna guess the forwards probably had more of the selfish or the testosterone.
But isn't that justifying a wrongful act just to necessarily survive?
Now, okay, I can agree to you on the point you made. That is a selfish act. I 100% agree to that. But I think the thing that happens is...
You are basically poisoning your community.
Oh, 100%. They are.
But I can promise you that naturally you feel wrong for doing that.
Yeah.
There's nothing about you that just says that's a good thing.
But if you really feel wrong about what you're doing, you wouldn't do it. If you were really convicted about what you're doing, you wouldn't do it regardless of the stipulation that you're in, because you know the outcome and the foresight of what that does to not only your family but to your community.
Well, I think the difference is though, when I'm pushed against that wall, I'm willing to do things that I normally would not do out of survival. So for example, if Vontae started choking the death out of me, I'm probably gonna do some things to that man that I've never thought about doing before.
Right.
Just because I'm at a point where if I don't do something, my life as I know it will be over. Right. That's why most people go to quote unquote selling drugs. And it's no better option, at least in my mind. It could be, but in that person's mind right now, for my family to eat, I gotta do this.
And I know so many people who get out of jail after selling drugs and will look me dead in my face with no hesitation and say, if I went broke and had nothing, I'm gonna sell again. You know what I'm saying? With no hesitation. Like that right there tells me something. Like it's no...
What's the word that we call that? Is that cooning?
Is that...
No, it's not.
I don't think that's cooning.
No,
it is damaging, but it is
damaging to the black community.
I'm 100%
I can agree.
I don't think it's cooning.
I can agree, but guess what?
But it's just as damaging.
If you know what you're doing is wrong, regardless of the stipulation that you're in.
You ever cheated on your girlfriend, Chris?
No.
You never cheated?
No.
You ever had somebody cheat on you?
Yeah.
Okay, listen. I promise you, in the midst of them cheating, that love they had for you, their intention wasn't to just hurt you. They probably hid it from you, right? Or did they just say, hey, I cheated on you? They hid it because their intention is not to hurt you. It's just to please that selfishness that rose in them. Okay? They chose to act on it in that way. They chose to act on it in that way. And their intention was not to hurt you, so they hid it. You know what I'm saying? So intention is there, my man.
Or for me, in my head, they just want their cake and eat it too.
No, man.
Hey, I have a right as a person that's being affected to take that for what it is. But
that's not the truth on her part.
But that don't matter. Truth. It don't matter at the end of the day. It it doesn't matter how the person that is the messenger. It doesn't. To be honest, the messenger and the message does not matter. Only thing that matters is how that person takes it. That's all that matters. The way that your people's justifications for or explanations for why they do certain things does not matter. At the end of the day, all that matters is the person's motions and feelings that were affected in the long.
So if that was the case,
all that is just all that people hearing is just words.
If that was the case, and I felt like that was how human beings were supposed to work. Mm-hmm. To me, white America has some catching up to do to the black community. They got a whole lot of catching up to do. If that's how the human's supposed to work, you know what I'm saying? Like,
true. Yeah.
That's not it though. If that was the case, it'll be some reparations by now, a whole lot of them. It'll be some.
Well, that's not the world we
it'll
live
be
in,
some-
but that's the
people-
ideal. But I'm talking about an ideal, and it's not necessarily something that can't. It's not such. And what I'm speaking of is not something that can't be achieved.
It's just something that's not reality right now.
It's not something that's it's very much applicable. It's just we live in a society where we don't think the same.